Oh, welcome to This Week in Showbiz History. Many of you might have been in another channel with my doppelganger impersonator at Celebrity Crime and Rehab. Don't be fooled. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification button for this particular channel and show so you don't get misnotified when the Johnny Carson episode comes on next week and you say, Mark, I was never notified. I missed the Johnny Carson saga. If you like and subscribe and hit the notification button, it's not going to happen to you. Welcome, everyone. Everyone's going to Lowe's. Great show. Loves this. Howdy, everybody. Great show. Let's see. Howdy. It's a very common phrase. Woohoo. Gossip time. I'm not sure about that. Lenny Briscoe now up in Vero Beach. I used to go every spring with my dad from West Palm to Vero. Laura, looking forward to the episode next week. We used to go to Vero Beach for spring training. Always pretty interesting. Oh, interesting. That she says pretty interesting. It's electric, says Joanne. Absolutely electric. You got a different backdrop, wardrobe, hats, shirts, different show, different people. Everybody's going to Lowe's to pick up paint. We got that aspect of the show. Greetings from North Carolina, Mike Schaefer, somebody from Manchester, England. Here's a couple, Christian something or other together. Schenectady, New York. That's way up there, right? Gotta like that. That's pretty far north. It must be nice weather now in Schenectady. This is the end of their summer. It's going to be snowing by September 1st up there. Let's see who else is here before we get rolling on this thing. Middleborough, England. Electric ass, says Yosemite Sam. Sunrises, not high rises in Vero Beach. Very funny. Lubbock, Texas in the house. The hat matches the shirt. Gee, I wonder how that happened. Let's see here. Schenectady is electric also. That's highly doubtful. Dustin's in the house, the guy in charge of all the Ohio elections. Dustin is the guy to talk to about each congressional district for the midterms. But this particular show that we're on here does not have any or tolerate political discussions, good or bad. I'm sorry for your loss. You may have to go to another channel. If it comes up here, we usually take you out of the comment section. We're trying to make a safe space for discussions on celebrities and films and current events in entertainment. Marion, Illinois knows about that. North Carolina knows about that. Lenny Briscoe, working with my coordinator at this point. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, we try to make a safe space here and a break from all that shit. So I don't want to be overemphasizing, but you will be fucking removed from the room if it happens. Bob Dennison with the like and subscribe. No trick, says Lenny. Everybody major ever eaten at Roaring Fork? Great hamburgers. No. Langhorne, Pennsylvania, home of the most dangerous NASCAR race, closed in 1971. Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the house. Grateful Dead's in the house. People didn't realize when I did the Jerry Lewis episode, Jerry's kids to us, or to a lot of deadheads, means followers of Jerry Garcia. Enjoyed the intermission. Yeah, we all do. You can make a sandwich. You could go out for a walk. Gives you a break to think about what I said in the first show. Mark in Vermont once had a acid test in Ludlow, Vermont, in a ski house with 25 college students, a rock band, and a foosball table. You can figure out what happened next. But I got to get on with the show because we got a lot of land to cover here, especially with, God, I wish there was some music for the birthday celebration Well, that was a sign. I don't know if we had it. Oh, we could have gone a little longer, but we can catch it next week. 1927, Robert Shaw, a so-called British actor. You may know him from The Sting, which people forget. Wow, look at Robert Shaw. The Deep, and apparently Jaws, which he unceremoniously departs the movie. He was also a novelist. The Sun Doctor is a novel that he wrote, a playwright, The Man in the Glass Booth. I did not know that. Born in West Houghton, Lancashire. If our British friends can tell us where that is, Skeptic wants to know where I bought my shirt. Priorities, my friend. Shaw hated Richard Dreyfuss. Who didn't? Not very well liked. Died in 1978, but a great actor and a great drinker, and didn't get along with Richard Dreyfuss. The Deep, yeah, Mike, that's right. Sam Elliott, 1944 American character actor. You know him from A Star Is Born, 2018, Lifeguard, I think Gettysburg. Born in Sacramento, California. Sam Elliott, with 1 million credits. Just tell me your favorite Sam Elliott cowboy picture of all time, and you will be rewarded down on the comment section. Great mustache, absolutely. Melanie Griffith celebrates 69 years. There he is. Wow, that mustache has not changed much, except a little different color, but wow. Has the great, great baritone voice. Here's Melanie Griffith, body double, working girl. But my favorite with Gene Hackman at the age of 17 or 16, she's in a movie called Night Moves, where Hackman plays a private eye and she's swimming naked in the ocean. And you see more than you should have legally been allowed to see at that time on the big screen. I'll leave it at that. People who have seen Night Moves will know what I'm talking about, with an underage Melanie Griffith, who will eventually, here's a little something from her. Wow. She will eventually hook up with the Miami Vice star and have a whole different thing with him, which we'll get into at a later date. Amy Stiller, I did not know she was even an actress. Amy Stiller worked for us at National Lampoon as a stage manager for the National Lampoon show, and we hired her obviously as a Nepo baby, I guess. I think her parents might have called Maddie and said, "Can you hire my daughter?" But anyway, we found her drunk behind the stage on numerous consecutive nights, and she had to be fired. But happy birthday, born in 1961, Amy Stiller, sister of Ben Stiller. Hope she's doing much better than she did during the National Lampoon show. So I can only tell you what happened. I can't cover it with Velvet. 1968, Eric Bana from Australia, known as the Hulk, born in Melbourne. I don't know what other movies people remember him from. Sure, there's a whole list, but the Hulk thing really stands out. If people have other Eric Bana favorites, please let us know. Gillian Anderson, I forgot about her. Gillian Anderson, famously from the X-Files, Bleak House, 1960. Wow, that's a great photo. Born in Chicago, Illinois. If you like the X-Files, you loved her. McGee, Joseph McGinty Nicol, American film producer and director of Charlie's Angels, born in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Mick G, to people who know who he is. Audrey Tattoo, French actress, Venus Beauty Institute. Amelie, of course, that's what I know her from Amelie. Born in Beaumont, Port-de-Dôme, France. Excuse my mispronunciation. Anna Kendrick. I forgot about Anna Kendrick. Hold on. Anna Kendrick. Is this her? Yeah, that is. Pitch Perfect, The Accountant, A Simple Favor, born in Portland, Oregon. Great American actress, and also, if I remember correctly, a singer of sorts of songs and such. The lead in Munich. Yeah, it was directed, but not a big fan of Munich. But I do remember that now. Sam Warner, 1887. Wow, that's interesting. Polish-American film producer, and of course, the chief executive officer and co-founder of Warner Brothers, soon to be taken over by Paramount Pictures. Born in Krasnosiako, Congress, Poland, in the Russian Empire in 1887. No reason to leave there. And died in 1927. I guess he got out of Dodge. Jack Haley, 1898, the American vaudeville and screen actor, singer. You know him at home as the Tin Man, Higher and Higher, born in Boston, Massachusetts. He was also a song and dance man during vaudeville, which I didn't really remember because of the Tin Man. Richard Reeves, American character actor, shown here, benches a Superman date with an angel, Queens, New York, died in 1967. I don't think that's him. He was born in 1912. Maybe this is him. Jeff Corey, this might be Richard Reeves right here, right? Okay. Jeff Corey, 1914, American actor. Jeff Corey. This might be Jeff Corey, born in 1914. Real name Arthur Zwirling. Getting Straight, Superman and the Mole Men. One of my favorite Superman. The Mole Men, for people who don't know, lived underneath the ground, and Superman had to go down there and deal with the Mole Men. He was born in New York City and died in 2002. There really were mole people, by the way, who lived beneath the ground in Manhattan in the subway tunnels. They had furniture, lights, electricity down there, living for many years, the mole people. Go down and see if they're still there. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they were. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at Lois, Superman, George Reeves, Phyllis Coates, I guess, as Lois. The first full-length feature adventure. Yeah, this is the first Superman film, Superman and the Mole Men. Not a great title. Doesn't really roll off your tongue, but nevertheless, those people in the upper corner there lived. They went down a little portal underneath the earth, and Superman had to deal with it. Jimmy Dean, 1928, American country and rockabilly singer. People forget that. Big Bad John, television host, The Jimmy Dean Show, actor. Diamonds Are Forever, I remember, James Bond. Sausage maker, of course, and born in Plainview, Texas. Anybody here from Plainview today? Texas. He died in 2010. Jimmy Dean. Tom Laughlin, American actor, director. Billy Jack. There's a picture of Billy Jack right there with that Billy Jack hat that became popular after Billy Jack walked around with a big club. Born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Died in 2013. Billy Jack. Justin Theroux, born 1971. Happy birthday to you, August 10th. Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, very good actor, should work more. Screenwriter, producer, born in Detroit. I did not know that. Tip of the hat to Justin Theroux. Angie Harmon, Here she is. You know her from Law and Order, I presume. That's where most people know her. But Seraphim Falls, Baywatch Nights, um, model for Cosmopolitan originally. I think she's out of Dallas, Texas. Maybe people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's a Dallas girl. Played Abby Carmichael on Law and Order for many people who loved her on that show. Abby Carmichael, one time, ladies and gentlemen. Lloyd Nolan, 1902. A tree grows in Brooklyn. There he is, Lloyd Nolan. Peyton Place, born in San Francisco, died in 1985. One of the great character actors of all time. 1924, Arlene Dahl, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Oh, she was a looker. Ambush, One Life to Live, TV panelist, as most people remember her on What's My Line. But she was also a perfumer. And here she is trying to get some perfume buds from those flowers. She was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and died in 2021 during COVID, I think. Happy belated birthday to you. Sorry that you're gone. Joe Rogan, 1967, Fear Factor, The Joe Rogan Experience. Born, I did not know this, Newark, New Jersey, which explains a lot of his assholery. And I don't mean that in a positive or negative way. It's just a New Jersey thing. If you're from New York, everybody knows what I'm talking about. 1968, Anna Gunn, Breaking Bad, and Deadwood are the two things that come to my mind. Born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Great actress, TV actress. Chris Hemsworth, who's 43 years old yesterday. Australian actor, you know him as Thor. Also in the Avengers, born in Melbourne, Victoria, with the other guy who is Eric Bana. They probably hang out together and drink those giant motor can diesel beers that are gigantic. Cecil B. DeMille, 1881, the American filmmaker, produced the Ten Commandments and directed it. Asheville, Massachusetts. What can you say? Cleopatra and big productions. On August 12th today in 1881, Joe Besser. I don't know who remembers Joe Besser. Joe Besser, of course, with the Stooges, Let's Make Love, Africa Screams, St. Louis, Missouri, died in 1980. Joe Besser was, unfortunately, in a predicament like Curly Neal and others, replacing the dead Curly from the Stooges. Joe Besser, not one of the greater Curlys, but all of the Curlys, except the original Curly, sucked, including Joe Besser, who really sucked. Died in 1988, not a day too soon. Jane Wyatt, American actress. I believe she might have been married to Ronald Reagan at one point. Father Knows Best, Star Trek. Born in Mahwah, New Jersey. That's Mahwah, New Jersey. Great look. Wow. Sam Fuller, 1912. Totally insane alcoholic, screenwriter and director. Shock Corridor, The Big Red One. Born in Worcester, Mass., the home of Abby Hoffman. Liked to shoot things, blow shit up, get drunk with the actors, and then forget where the hell he was. But revered by many, I should say, for these early films that take a picture of it. This is how I know, or many people know, Sam Fuller. That is the face of a maniac and a maniac director. But he got shit done. Bob Carroll, I want to give a shout out. Bob Carroll, because we did the Lucy episodes, and Bob Carroll was one of the head writers on I Love Lucy, The Lucy Show, and Here's Lucy. Also went into The Mothers-in-Law, which was produced by Desi. sidebar thing, but he was born in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, if anybody knows where that is. In 1918, died in 2007. But I just wanted to give an acknowledgement, not very famous, but uh, born on this particular day in 1918, one of the great TV writers of all time. Also of all time, Alvis Owens, aka Buck Owens, who developed the Bakersfield sound, for the people who are not hip to that. Country singer, songwriter, Under Your Spell Again, band leader, the Buckaroos, Act Naturally. There's a picture of Buck Owens that he was on Hee Haw, actually born in Sherman, Texas, but also helped herald in that Bakersfield sound that was later developed even further by the Hag, of course, Merle Haggard out of Bakersfield, which really cemented the Bakersfield sound. But Buck Owens, really legendary in terms of starting out that Bakersfield sound out of there, and also on Hee Haw and a bunch of other stuff. But just want to give a shout. I died in 2006. William Goldman, American screenwriter, author of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He famously wrote a book about about screenwriting in Hollywood, which is kind of a Bible that nobody knows anything here. A highly recommended book by William Goldman. If anybody's interested in the Hollywood screenwriting business, Goldman was as good as it got. Also, I think he wrote The Sting and many other things. George Hamilton, old friend of the show, American actor, love at first bite, born in Memphis, Tennessee. There's George. I've spent a lot of time with George Hamilton. I think he moved to Miami, but he used to live over here in Century City. Dated LBJ's daughter, one of the great storytellers of all time. George Hamilton went out with, in fact, LBJ wanted him to marry his daughter, but George had so many women at the time, and it didn't really work out. But just waiting for some sirens to go by. Anyway, so George, just a great raconteur. Happy birthday, bro. Mark Knopfler, 1949, British songwriter, guitarist, Dire Straits. There's Mark Knopfler. Will later play with Dylan, Sultans of Swing, Walker of Life, the Notting Hillbillies, I think, was a side band, and then got into film scoring with local hero Princess Bride, born in Glasgow, Scotland, a town that has more cranium damage than any other city in the world. In fact, when they do studies of cranium damage and broken skulls, they usually go to Glasgow for obvious reasons, which I'm not going to get into, involving Scotch. Bruce Greenwood, a fantastic actor. I remember him in 13 Days. He was always playing one or the other Kennedy. I think he's in like 5 different JFK, RFK things where he's either playing JFK or RFK. But 13 Days, highly recommended. It's about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Very exciting movie. Born in Rouyn-Noranda, Quebec. I did not know that. Happy birthday. Rebecca Gayheart. She was originally supposed to be in a movie I was directing, American model for Noxzema. She's got the most incredible skin I've ever seen in my life. Actress, loving, urban legend, born in Hazard, Kentucky. Where is Hazard, Kentucky, Mike Schaefer, for $20? Heather did not know that, but incredible hair and a great model for Noxzema. Casey Affleck, actually the more talented of the two Afflecks, but also the more devious of the two. He was canceled, for what that word means, for Mike Schaefer. Well, she was supposed to be in a movie with me, so I have my thing here. American actor Manchester by the Sea, the assassination of Jesse James, which he's fantastic in. By the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is the full title of that movie, one of their most ridiculous titles. Born in Falmouth, Massachusetts, completely underrated actor. See anything that Casey Affleck is in. I'll just tell you that you will not be disappointed, especially in Westerns. Burt Lahr, born in 1895, American comic actor. Look at that face. That's a face of comedy. You know him as the lion in The Wizard of Oz, the cowardly lion. Am I right, Angel Blue? He was a cowardly lion. Went to see Knopfler opening for Dylan, hit out of the park. Dylan, not so much. Well, he was actually a guitar player in one of Dylan's configurations before that. Alfred Hitchcock, 1899 to 1980. Oh, there he is. What a freak this guy was. Rear Window, Vertigo, The Birds, Psycho. You know them. Born in Leytonstone, Essex, now part of London. The legendary Alfred Hitchcock, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him, one of the great American directors, or maybe British director in that case. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine. I just wanted to add this in. And people of a certain age and a certain geographic location, thanks, Bob, may know Captain Jack McCarthy. Here he is, 8 Bells and All's Well. He used to come on TV. He also did the St. Patty's Day Parade, but I didn't give a shit about that. Captain Jack McCarthy introduced in this uniform every day Popeye, the cartoons of Popeye, born in New York City, died in 1996. And he would come out as this Captain Jack McCarthy character on WPIX Channel 11, I believe, from 1949 to 1989. But I purposely know him from Popeye. And of course, the greatest Popeye episode and of all time is Popeye breaking the fourth wall, and you see a black and white live studio audience with a kid with groceries, and Popeye talks to him saying he needs spinach because Bluto is beating the shit out of him, and the kid takes the spinach out of the shopping bag and throws it into the screen. Just totally surreal. The greatest Popeye episode of all time. If you can find that, you'll be in heaven. Jeff Altman is a guy who worked with a group called Pink Lady. I never really figured it out what the hell Pink Lady was, but I think it was 2 Japanese singers, American comedian and actor born in Syracuse, New York. He was also in Soul Man, if I remember correctly. If anybody remembers Jeff Altman and Pink Lady. Pew Pew a little late, but he loves this show, lives in another area of the earth where the sun is not seen for 6 months, and then you just get sun nonstop for 3 or 4 months. So it's a crazy place. 1964, tomorrow, Debbie Mazur, American actress, Civil Wars, Little Man Tate, L.A. Law. Who doesn't love Debbie Mazur? Possibly in Goodfellas and some other incredible films. Tell me your favorite Debbie Mazur film, born and sounds like she was born in Queens, New York. And she really is from Queens. Okay, let's take a break here in the action where you can like and subscribe. Pew Pew can get his bearings. People can get to meet each other, talk about each other. Mazur is a hottie, entourage as, what's his name? Agent, right? Which he killed in Goodfellas. Remember to hit the notification buzzer. Remember to tip your waitresses tonight when you go out. Steve Martin, 80 years old tomorrow. 1945. American Grammy Award-winning comedian and banjo player, Sleep Canyon Rangers. I think that was the name of his band. Parenthood, The Jerk, Roxanne, Emmy Award-winning screenwriter. Born in Waco, Texas. You may want to look at the episode I did on Steve Martin down below here. You can learn quite a bit about Bard is 1 hour from Schenectady. Bard College? That seems like it's more than 1 hour. Susan St. James, American actress, Kate Nally, born in Los Angeles, California. Everyone loved Kate Nally. Don't try to deny it. Emmanuelle Béart, French actress. God, loved her. I loved her so much. Mission Impossible, La Belle Noise, born in Gacine, France. Yes, really in the 80s and 90s, her heyday. But yeah, I loved her in Mission Impossible as well, almost as much as the 1966 birthday girl, Emmanuelle Seigner, Venus in Fur, Place Vendôme, La Vie and Rose, pop singer, Ultra Orange, born in Paris, one of my favorite French actresses of all time. If we had a hot smoking photo of her, that would be great, but maybe not. But we may have a hot smoking photo of Halle Berry, who's now 59, born in 1966, American actress, X-Men, The Last Stand, Monsters Ball, born in Cleveland, Ohio. She was a high-class escort in Chicago before she became an actress. And how do we know that? Because the dentist pimp who put up the money for the apartment and the wardrobe sued her in court, and that was public court documents regarding Halle Berry's early career. Let me just put it that way. Jennifer Flavin, American model, businesswoman, wife of Sylvester Stallone. She was a looker. Born in L.A., California, possibly pronounced Flavin, but I remember her as one of the Stallone wives. I think there was a couple of other. He got involved with Eddie Murphy with a feud. In the Eddie Murphy episode, I talk about his fight with Sylvester Stallone, who was supposed to be the star of Beverly Hills Cop. And then something happened with Murphy and Stallone's wife, not Jennifer Flavin, the following wife. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Here's George Orwell, 4534, not to be confused with the imitators. Thank you for the 20, George. I've seen the episode with the kid and groceries, and you're absolutely correct. He throws the can. I'm just remembering this from 60 years ago. He throws the can from the audience right to Popeye. It's the greatest Popeye episode of all time, and it's the only one like that. So, I mean, if you know Popeye, if somebody says they know Popeye and they don't know that, they're a fraud. So, George, thank you for acknowledging my own personal peccadillos. Well, I was watching Mickey Rourke, Bryce, in Iron Man last night, and I forgot how great he was in Iron Man. We just were mesmerized by his performance. And dude, he's one of the greatest American actors of all time. Mila Kunis, Ukrainian-American actress, whom I had dinner with. Friends with Benefits, the 70s show. I did a couple of turns on the 70s show. Born in Chernovitsy, Ukraine, when it was part, or maybe it's still part, I'm not sure, the Soviet Union. But very, very lovely, diminutive, beautiful actress, who I think we were talking about when we were putting together the Oswald project of her playing his wife. Here she is, very short though. She's very tiny, but a great actress. And I didn't know she was born there, but they moved to Hollywood like immediately because she was raised in Hollywood. Um, I didn't know she was physically born there. Ethel Barrymore, 1879 to 1959, American classic film and stage actress, Corners Green, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on August 15th. Does Mark have any information? Possibly. Look, I love Sharknado. Don't get me wrong. Big fan of Sharknado. I have no insight as to the sequel 7. I haven't seen all 6, put it that way. Is known as the James Dean of the 80s. Well, that's not a bad acknowledgement, but he worked in many different decades. Julia Child, American chef, author, and television personality, shown here. The French Chef, I think was the name of her show. She was depicted by Meryl Streep in a movie. Born not in England, but in Pasadena, California. Died in 2004. I'll tell you a story. We was supposed to be on It's Academic, which was a high school game show. And we went to NBC, built the NBC building to actually do the show. Some high school brainiacs and I. And we were allowed to run around the NBC building for some reason, just going crazy. And we busted in on Art Fleming in his dressing room, made his life a living hell. And then we busted into a show that was being shot with a live audience with Julia Child, and they escorted us back to the It's Academic place where they were filming It's Academic, and we had to stay in that room because we were bad. 1920, Henry Hunts Hall, American radio, stage, and screen actor. Everyone knows Hunts Hall from the Dead End Kids, aka the Bowery Boys, Gas Pump Girls, born in New York and died in 1999. I tried to do a remake of it with the legendary director Joseph Vasquez, the late Joseph Vasquez at Sony, and the person who was the executive at Sony was a gay Hawaiian guy who had never heard of the Bowery Boys, and hence the project that we had created called the Hell's Kitchen Kids, which was a modern version of the Bowery Boys. This was in, I want to say, 1998. The guy looked at us like we were from another planet, when indeed he was from another planet. I said they did 80 movies for MGM, and he said, I've never seen any of them. But he was a gatekeeper of culture. He was a gay guy from Hawaii who had no idea about American culture, and yet he was a gatekeeper. Never forgot that. Rose Marie, American actress, born in 1923, singer Dick Van Dyke. She was Sally. There she is. Everyone grew up with her. Rose Marie and Sally, the Doris Day Show, born in New York City. Died in 2017. One of the classic characters of American sitcoms, Rose Marie. Mazzetta is her real Italian last name, by the way. I think Marie is her middle name. Rob Thomas, American screenwriter, born in 1965. You know him from I want to say Veronica Mars, born in Sunnyside, Washington. I'm not sure where that is. Washington State. That's a look. Deborah Messing, American actress from Will and Grace. Yikes. Great photo of Deborah Messing. Born in Brooklyn, New York, 1968. Her birthday is this coming Saturday, if people want to celebrate that. Cover charge for Pew Pew coming in with some bucks from Norway. $5 of the cover charge. Where's the VIP lounge? There's a green room right in back of the comment section. Go down that hall and make a left. You'll see a men's room and a ladies' room. But a little further down is the door to the green room. Pew pew. You can go in there and wait for the after show. Ben Affleck, 53 years old. We're just mentioning his brother, Academy Award winning screenwriter, Goodwill Hunting, which is kind of funny because Harvey, who is currently in prison, one of the great producers of all time, wanted to get an Oscar for Ben Affleck and his sidekick, Matt Damon, for screenwriting. So he paid William Goldman to do a very, very thick rewrite of Goodwill Hunting and paid him to never disclose that he had done that. William Goldman will later disclose that he did do that and rewrote Goodwill Hunting. Harvey would not reveal that, and Harvey Weinstein, of course, and got them the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for Goodwill Hunting for Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I always got a kick out of that, but that these two wrote this masterpiece as their first script. They did write a script, without a doubt, but the movie that you saw was polished and rewritten by the legendary screenwriter William Goldman. You may know Ben from Armageddon, not so good. Pearl Harbor, not so good. Born in Berkeley, California. Directed Argo, which was pretty good. Kind of enjoyed Argo, though. He's a better director than he is an actor. I'll give him that. And whatchamacallit, the town. What was the one when they robbed the bank inside of Fenway Park after the baseball series, and they went in and stole that? That was a great little film that he directed. The Town, wasn't it called The Town? No, this is a personal favorite of mine. Natasha Henstridge, Canadian actress, Species, born in Springdale, Newfoundland and Labrador. I guess that's one whole. The Town, right? Thank you, Brian. Born in Springdale, Newfoundland and Labrador. Natasha Henstridge. I did a film with her called Falling in Love. No, what was it called? Anyway, it was directed by Steve Fader, and she was a star with Michael Vartan, who I think is another Canadian actor. You can look that film up. What the hell was that called? Anyway, she had stalkers on the film, and we had to hire extra security to protect her in New York. And just an amazing, vivacious woman who told me the story of doing Species, where a porpoise took her underwater and tried to have sex with her, spinning her around at all kinds of speeds until they somehow got her out of the clutches of the porpoise. Yikes. But I don't blame that porpoise. I would have done the same thing. Let's see here. Happy birthday. Oh my God. Can't even look at Natasha. I think she still lives in Toluca Lake over here. This one was worth drooling over. That's for sure. Loved her madly. Jennifer Lawrence. This was a film produced, Winter's Bone, by a friend of mine. And when I saw her in Winter's Bone, I knew that you could tell right away she was going to be a star. Of course, Silver Linings Playbook, born in Louisville, Kentucky. But check out Winter's Bone. It's an indie film that you might really enjoy if you haven't seen it. David Yorkin's wife was the producer of it. 35 years old this coming Saturday. Okay, let's move on to, we're done with the birthdays. So that's it. We're done with the birthdays. We're going to move on to famous Hollywood events that happened during this week in Hollywood. And we cut. Okay. August 9th, 1930, the animated character of Betty Boop debuts in Max Fleischer's cartoon Dizzy Dishes, the premiere of Betty Boop, her coming out of the cartoon closet, so to speak. She will then become a world-renowned comic icon, Betty Boop. And there's just Betty Boop. There's people who dress like Betty Boop even to this day in Hollywood and have Betty Boop look-alike conventions here for people who are not hip to it. But there are girls who just Lenny Briscoe had an older version of Betty Boop when she was in her 50s, but Lenny still talks about it like it was yesterday. Murders of Interest, 1969, members of the Manson family cult eliminate 5 people at the home of actress Sharon Tate in Los Angeles, California. The start of the Tate LaBianca murders, which the police could not figure out that they were even connected. The LaBianca murders happened right where I am in Los Feliz. LaBianca owned supermarkets, what later became Albertsons years later, but they had a house in Los Feliz, and it was a couple of days later after the Manson. By the way, Manson was not there, but everybody who did the deletions was on August 9th in 1969. And a couple of days later, the LaBianca deletions happened. And the weird thing about the LaBianca one was that they similarly wrote on the wall in blood, kill the pigs and things of that nature. And the police couldn't connect the 2 crimes. As odd as that sounds, LAPD couldn't figure that they were connected until years later or something. There's a little bit more coming up for the individual ones, but Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, starring Paul Reubens, is released on this date in 1985. For those Paul Rubin fans, 1919 Gasoline Alley comic strip by Frank King premieres in the Chicago Tribune on August 10th of 1919. That strip will run for 100 years, I think. Alan Funt's Candid Camera debuts on ABC. Who remembers Candid Camera? 1948. I think even Richard Lewis was on Candid Camera at one point. One of the great comedy shows, absolutely brilliant in its simplicity, and one of the great shows of all time. Alan Funt is the creator of it, and he must have become a millionaire over that show. Okay. 1950 Sunset Boulevard, American film noir, directed by Billy Wilder. You may see it in back of me, I think, over here. There's a picture of the actual poster. William Holden, who is dead in the pool at the beginning, spoiler alert, and Gloria Swanson, and premieres at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. Just a fantastic classic American film. Not to Be Undone, 1960, on the same day, Los Angeles premiere of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins and the amazing Janet Leigh, shown right there. Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis will become neighbors of other celebrities that we've covered, including Jerry Lewis, I believe. The Life of Émile Zola, 1937, directed by William Deterrille, starring Paul Muni. It will become Best Picture in the following year, 1938. It's released on this date, August 11th. 1951, this was a great day for baseball, but not a great day for the Dodgers. The first televised baseball game in color, airs on WCBS in New York City in 1951. And the Boston Braves, not to be confused with the Atlanta Braves, beat the Brooklyn Dodgers, sadly, 8-1 in a slugfest where Brooklyn didn't even show up. 1964 U.S. premiere debut film, A Hard Day's Night, premieres in New York City. Fantastically surreal avant-garde film for anyone who's never seen A Hard Day's Night. It's absolutely brilliant. 1973, on this day, American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas, opens in cinemas across the United States. There it is. Take a look at that. Wow. Wow. Let's see here. Wings. Wings. Wings? West Wing? Wings? 1927, silent film Wings. I think it's produced by Howard Hughes, wasn't it? Gary Cooper's in it. William Wellman was the director. Premieres in New York at the first film and one of only 2 silent films to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. Clara Bow from Brooklyn. Once the talkies started, you began to hear a Brooklyn accent that did not help her career. But she had a great career in the silent films. 1967. Here it is, Bonnie and Clyde, directed by Arthur Penn, starring Warren Beatty, Faye Dunaway, and my old late friend Michael J. Pollard. Also one of the greatest storytellers of all time. But here's a shot of Beatty and the ever difficult Faye Dunaway in this groundbreaking 1967 film that was trashed by the critics. It was the first modern violent film, hundreds and hundreds of squibs used to replicate gunfire wounds, and really shook up the critical establishment in the United States, movie critical establishment. 1981, the last broadcast of this show on CBS, The Waltons. This is it, folks. After this, no more Waltons. No more Waltons. 1997, I'm going to put this up for people to guess. This TV animated sitcom debuted on, don't show them yet, on Comedy Central for 2020 clams. Tell me the name of this famous, infamous 1997 debut on Comedy Central. And the winner is Pew Pew with South Park, putting up the SP initials. Classy move on the part of Pew Pew not to undermine the other people. Matthew Moran getting it. Here it is, debuted on this particular day. One of the great shows of all time. South Park, completely insane. Hell's Angels. Thank you, Gene Harlow. Thank you, Pamela. Sorry. I know there were planes flying with bi-wings. there were planes with 2 wings flying with up in the air. But yeah, South Park, 1997 on this day in showbiz history. 1928, Ben Hecht, Charlie MacArthur's The Front Page premieres in New York City. A Place in the Sun, there's the front page. I think Ben Hecht came from the world of journalism, as a matter of fact. 1951, A Place in the Sun. It was a film adaptation of Theodore Dreiser's An American Tragedy, directed by the legendary George Stevens, shown there, starring Montgomery Clift, Elizabeth Taylor and the I Slept with Everybody in Hollywood, Shelley Winters, premieres in LA, wins 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director in 1952. Place in the Sun, by the way, you may want to take a look at that film. Mia Farrow's famous haircut shown here by the, you may not recognize who the hair cutter is. It is Vidal Sassoon for people at home who are listening. He's cutting the hair of Mia Farrow into the haircut that will change the look of women around the world. Gene Seberg will also famously do that. This is 1967. Previously, Mia Farrow, who will later go batshit crazy, but this haircut it cost $5,000 to get that famous pixie cut. 1967, $5,000 was a lot of money. This is her before and after. I don't know which one I like. I like the long-haired one better than the pixie one, by the way. Just my own personal opinion. The Sinking of the Lusitania. Now, this is in 1918, shown here by Winsor McKay. It's produced, it's 12 minutes long. It is the longest work of animation at that time. The famous Sinking of the Lusitania ship. It revolutionizes animation. At that point, it was the longest one, so it had an actual story structure. If you can find a copy of that on YouTube, take a look at it, because it was the longest animated film ever made in 1918. Now this one was a little bit longer. 1939, The Wizard of Oz, an American musical fantasy film adaptation of L. Frank Baum's book, premieres at Grauman's Chinese Theater around the corner from me here, directed by Victor Fleming and King Vidor, with a cast featuring Judy Garland, Ray Bolger, Jack Haley, who we mentioned, Bert Lahr, who we mentioned, Frank Morgan, Billy Burke, Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch, songs by Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg. That'll win a couple of awards, but it premieres on August 15th, 1939 in Hollywood at Mann's Chinese Theater, as it's now called, but Grauman's Chinese Theater, as it was previously called. 1965 at Shea Stadium in Queens, New York. The Beatles played to their largest crowd ever. This is 65,000 people. Among those attending are both of their future wives, who they don't know, which is kind of weird. Barbara Bach and Linda Eastman both attended that and later married the aforementioned two of the Beatles, Barbara Bach, who I've met on numerous occasions, Linda McCartney, who I've never met, but it was so loud they couldn't even hear themselves. They smuggled them in the back of ambulances, I believe, like the low kind of ambulances that look like station wagons, and somehow got them out of there alive. But if you've been to Shea Stadium, you can imagine it with the Mets, how loud that was during the World Series and the playoffs. So add 10 times that on for the Beatles. 1969, Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, Martin Sheen, is released. And I saw it at the Ziegfeld in New York with Francis Ford Coppola there. On the biggest screen in New York, which is at the Ziegfeld, with the greatest sound system in New York of any, theaters at the time. In 1979, I remember being there on some kind of substance, and the movie just enhanced the substances. But Coppola took the stage and talked about something, and somewhere I still have the playbill. But just a magical night all the way around. Joe Orton, 1967, Prick Up Your Ears, the playwright, and is eliminated by his partner, Kenneth Hollowell, at the age of 34. A real loss. 1969, this is just getting into what we talked about before. Abigail Folger, the heir to the Folgers coffee. Abigail Folger, the heir to the Folgers coffee magnate, is eliminated by members of the Manson family at the home of actor Sharon Tate at the age of 25. Jay Sebring, the hairstylist, is also eliminated, and in the same event. So I just wanted to give a shout out to both of them. Sharon Tate, of course, and Wojtek Frykowski. Wojtek Frykowski was a friend of the Polish writer Jerzy Kaczynski, who I was close with in New York. And Kaczynski told me that he had flown in from Europe that night and they lost his luggage at JFK and he was not able to make the connecting flight to LAX. And Kaczynski was supposed to be at that house. The great author Jerzy Kaczynski, he was a friend of Frykowski, as part of that Polish art clique. And he was supposed to be there that night. And if it wasn't for the screw up of his luggage, he would have been part of that bloodbath. Stephen Parent was an American student, happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And of course, Sharon Tate, just an incredibly insane story. We can go on and on and on about it, but I strongly recommend you read the book Chaos if you really want to know the truth about the Manson situation by the great author Tom O'Neill, who I've spoken to and have been dealing with about his new book, which is coming out probably in 20 years. Bernie Mac, 2008, American comedian and actor, The Bernie Mac Show. He was in also, if you remember, Ocean's 11, dies of a heart attack at the age of 50. Rather abrupt, if I remember correctly. I don't know if he was large or unhealthy or what. But the green room was supposed to have some people in there and some other items of tributes to ingest. I don't know if they're still in the green room there, but usually we put them in there. 2023, Jamie Royale Robertson, aka Robbie Robertson, Sebastian's dad, Canadian Mohawk singer, songwriter, rock guitarist, the band The Weight Up on Cripple Creek, soundtrack composers of the Scorsese films, dies of prostate cancer at the age of 80. And if people who are aficionados of the band, as I am, know the story of Robbie Robertson stealing the royalty rights from the rest of the band, leaving them impoverished for the rest of their lives, while he lived in West LA like a king for the rest of his life. People who are rock and roll aficionados know the story that I'm talking about. And you may want to talk to the late interviews with the late Levon Helm about this debacle, because the the manager of the band, who was also Dylan's manager, Albert Brooks. I want to say Albert, but what am I saying? Albert Brooks. The manager of the band with Robbie conspired to Albert Grossman. I'm sorry, Albert Grossman conspired to steal the royalties and publishing rights from the others, and they were all written together as a group. In fact, if you look at the records, they don't have Robertson's name on it. It says the band, and they had to work in bars and dives for the rest of their lives, living in Motel 6s because of what Robbie and Albert Grossman did. But that being said, when you watch The Last Waltz and you watch Robbie playing against Clapton and that guitar duel, it's one of the greatest guitar duels of all time. And Robbie was one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. And he teaches Clapton what the American blues are actually about in that documentary by Martin Scorsese that I highly recommend. Let's see what this is. August 10th, 2010. Poor Richard Manuel is true. David Stanton is correct. David L. Wolper, Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Different Grossman. This is David Wolper, American television and film producer. Roots, The Thornbirds, but my favorite, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you want to see the Gene Wilder episode down below, you will learn more about the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and how it was made with David Wolper as the producer. He also did one of my favorites, Welcome Back, Kotter, with Vinnie Barbarino and Mr. Carter. One of the great sitcoms of all time, with Horseshack, Ron Palillo, who I think is coming up a little later in the show. Anne Ramsey, one of the great looking women of all time. This is the greatest photo of Anne Ramsey. It's the best she ever looked. Throw Mama from the Train, dies of cancer early at the age of 59. But her look in Throw Mama from the Train with Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal is just comically one of the great looks of all time. Highly recommend the film. English actor Peter Cushing dies in 1994 on August 11th. He was a scary Dracula, also Star Wars and Doctor Who. Dies of cancer at the age of 81 in 1994. He was a scary, underrated bloodsucker, in my humble opinion. Mike Douglas, and people remember Mike Douglas. He was always having guest hosts on his show, Mike Douglas. He was a former big band singer, but nobody really knew that. But he'd have like John Lennon and Yoko Ono as guest hosts for the entire week and allow them to bring on like Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman as guests. He had some of the craziest guest hosts I've ever seen him in television history. He was an American big band singer, Kay Kaiser, and the Mike Douglas show ran from 1961 to 1981, and he died on his actual 86th birthday in 2006. I think it was shot in Philadelphia, if I remember correctly. But he was a sweet guy, very classy, very warm to the guests, and very sweet. Boy, this is a weird one. 2014 American actor and comedian. Morka Mindy, Jumanji, Dead Poets Society, Good Will Hunting, commits self-deletion by Belt at the age of 63. There's Robin, completely unnecessary loss. The last wife claiming he had Lewy bodies. I and his children don't buy it. And Robin was an alcoholic, and he relapsed. He ended up at Betty Ford at the end of his life, and said he was going to do this while he was in Betty Ford. As soon as he got out, and they were urging him to stay, he didn't. He went home and did what he did, unnecessary as most of these are. One of the most brilliant guys, I've ever met. And as I said, we had discussed him portraying the legendary Lord Buckley, the actual Lord Buckley, in a film that we were attempting to get off the ground, me and him. And Lord Buckley's son, oddly enough, and this is in the weeds a little bit, insisted that he himself, Lord Buckley Jr., play his father, Lord Buckley, as opposed to anyone else, and cockblocked the actual making of the film that could have starred Robin Williams as Lord Buckley, which is what I wanted to have happen. But the kid apparently had other ideas. Of course, it was never made. Nobody's going to bankroll this unknown kid of Lord Buckley. Anne Heche. Anne Heche. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Batshit crazy. Donnie Brasco, Jura Volcano, dies from injuries 1 week after a fiery single vehicle car crash at the age of 53. Addiction issues, totally insane, off the rails. I know her boyfriend very well, and was privy to all this while it was happening, and the ending when it happened. Um, that's how we go out, in a burning fire of glory for alcoholics and addicts. And she did that in 2022, unfortunately for her and her kids, for that matter. Living with Ellen would make anyone insane. Well, it had nothing to do with that. But 1964, a British naval intelligence officer dies, and he was the author of James Bond novels, shown here with himself reading his own book, Casino Royale. And Ian Fleming famously, at the request of the Americans, helped train Donovan and the OSS at the beginning of World War II. He was already British intelligence, and he was credited with helping create or direct the creation of the OSS with Donovan and some others back in the day. Also, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I didn't remember that. Dies of heart disease at the age of 56. Very, very young. Henry Fonda, 1982. Hey, one of the great American actors, had a fling with Lucille Ball. 12 Angry Men on Golden Pond, directed by a friend of mine, Mark Rydell. Dies of heart disease at 77. But of course, Mr. Roberts, but of course, Grapes of Wrath. I mean, for the love of cinema, I mean, there's Grapes of Wrath. But there's so many Henry Fonda films. Tell me your favorite Henry Fonda film. Mine is Grapes of Wrath. But you might have some other ones. Loretta Young died in 2000. I did not realize she lasted that long, of ovarian cancer at the age of 87. The Farmer's Daughter, The Stranger, The Bishop's Wife, Loretta Young, 1913 to 2000. And a fascinating look. A Failsafe. Yeah, Failsafe, where he plays the president. Larry Hagman plays the Russian interpreter, and he told me that people thought he was speaking Russian in Failsafe in 1964. And he said he never spoke a word of Russian in that scene. He said, but people believed that he was speaking English and Russian with the Russian ambassador who was going to be blown to smithereens very shortly. Merv Griffin, 2007, American television host, closeted gay male, game show creator, dies at the age of 82. Sued me personally for Sexual Jeopardy, the home game, when I was an editor of National Lampoon. He sued the magazine, but it was my piece, and we had to go to federal court over the piece that I did called Sexual Jeopardy, the home game, him claiming that it was a copyright infringement. And the judge on the bench, the federal judge in a black robe, started reading my piece from the bench, cracked up laughing, and immediately dismissed the case with his gavel as being covered by parody law. So Merv Griffin was unsuccessful in trying to destroy me. But I survived, as did the magazine, to fight another day. Let's see here. Wolfgang Peterson, Das Boot. I think I remember him most for that. But Air Force One, The Perfect Storm, Troy, the great German director. Here he is, dies of pancreatic cancer at the age of 81. He really was a great director. If you look at Das Boot, it's German, and he makes the transition to American film quite smoothly. I don't know if many people could do that. In 2014, this woman passes away, American actress and singer, the 20th greatest female star of Hollywood cinema. Dark Passage, Key Largo, dies of a stroke at 89. Of course, that's Lauren Bacall, who was with Bogey for many years. You know how to whistle, don't you? One of the great American film actresses of all time, born in 1924. Joe Bologna. I did not know that. Joe Bologna passed away in 2007. There's Lauren Bacall. And that's with Bogey, who gets plastic surgery. And we don't see him until halfway through the movie. The movie's shot from his POV because he's a hood. And it goes on for a long time where you don't see that it's Bogey until the bandages come off. And even then it's dragged out. I saw a show on YouTube, says Angel Blue. Okay. Joseph Bologna, Citizen Cone, my favorite year, dies at the age of 82. Great character actor. 2024, Wally Amos, American cookie entrepreneur of fame. Here he is. I think he was from Barbados or something. Television personality, adult literacy advocate, and of course, the spokesperson for Famous Amos Cookies. I don't know if he was just the spokesperson or he owned the cookies. I'm not really sure. But the literacy thing was another sidebar thing that he got into. Dorothy Stratton, a.k.a. Hoog Stratton, Canadian playmate, August 1979, model and actress, was deleted by her estranged husband and manager, Paul Snyder, at the age of 20. Here's a photo of Dorothy Stratton. I think there's a movie called The Dorothy Stratton Story. If you want to take a look at that, it's a real twisted story about losing control over someone who's becoming famous while in a relationship. Douglas Kiker, American newscaster, NBC TV, a guy who was there for major historical events, dies of a heart attack at the age of 61. He was there for a lot of stuff. Bruno Kirby, American Actor, When Harry Met Sally. This is one of the most underrated character actors of all time. City Slicker is shown here, I believe. Leukemia at the age of 57, way too young for Bruno Kirby. John Kirby, who many people have worked with, was a casting director. And most people don't know that was his brother. But 2012, Ron Palillo, American actor, Arnold Horshack in Welcome Back, Kotter, dies of a heart attack at 63. And I'll tell you something right now. I did a film with him called The Cottonwood, and we're both in hair and makeup. And he had 2 nicotine patches on. He was chewing nicotine gum. He had problems with substances other than cigarettes. This guy had so much stuff trying to prevent him from doing stuff. I'm surprised he lived to die of a heart attack at the age of 63. But, pretty damn good comic actor, gay comic actor from Welcome Back, Kotter, and also this movie that I was in with him. 2024, Gina Rowlands, The Notebook, Night on Earth, the Betty Ford story. I didn't know she played Betty Ford. Peyton Place, dies at 94. Wow. Gina Rowlands, one of the great American indie actresses of all time. There's a couple of films. The Notebook, you could see the Night on Earth is a good one. I think she's in Chinese Bookie also, if I remember correctly. And all of the Cassavetes films, the John Cassavetes films, featured her. The good ones. Patrick McGee, I forgot to mention, the Northern Irish actor, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, dies of a heart attack at the age of 60. I forgot to mention him. And then finally, or maybe not finally, I have 2 more left. One is the famous Will Rogers, who they named a state park over in Pacific Palisades after Judge Priest dies in a plane crash in Alaska at the age of 55. Somebody should do a movie about that plane crash, and somebody should do a movie about Will Rogers' life. He dies in 1935 at the age of 55 through this bizarre plane crash in Alaska. And finally, the final contestant on today's show is a game show host named Peter Marshall. Died in 2024, the host of the Hollywood Squares. There's a picture of Peter Marshall. I believe he's the uncle of Pete LeCoq, who may or may not have played for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Dodgers had Mike Marshall, who I believe was his son, but I think his real name is Ralph Pierre Lecoq. Well, I don't know why I think Mike Marshall was his son, but Pete Lecoq was either his son or his nephew. He died of, not Pete Lecoq, Peter Marshall, died of kidney failure at the age of 98. At the age of 98, Lecoq, I could say his name was Pete Lecoq. That's whatever the announcers said when he played for either Montreal or Toronto. I think he was a first baseman. And that's why probably he changed his name from Ralph Pierre Lecoq to Peter Marshall. But there was a lot of secret squares. There was a lot of Hollywood in that show. And I don't know anything about John Derek. I don't know why I should forget or remember John Derek exactly. Peter Marshall from Huntington, West Virginia. That's right. Thank you, Pamela. And I think Mike Marshall, Pete Lecoq's father, okay, played for Kansas City. Thank you. Palisades Indian structure. Whom did John ever do? What did John Derek ever do? Yeah, I don't know. I have certain limits to my research here. Maybe it was Bo Derek's wife. Bo Derek was his wife, and he was a husband. Um, Nevertheless, that's the bulk of the show for today. We gave you like an hour and a half. Thank you for the applause. John Derek was featured in Cecil B. DeMille's Ten Commandments. Married Bo Derek. Yeah, that's what I thought. Who gives a shit about John Derek? Um, God bless you all for coming here today. Pew Pew is in the house. Great show. See you next time. Bravo. Awesome show. He was Caleb in the Ten Commandments. Okay. Bravo for that. Scott H in the house. Skeptic, be positive. Remember, next week, we're going to do the deep dive into the insane, and I mean insane, life of Johnny Carson. For those of you who want to make sure you get the notification, you can like and subscribe and hit the notification button to find out about Johnny Carson, because we're going to do the first deep dive. No, we're not doing Ed McMahon. We're doing Johnny Carson. Sorry for your loss. Hey-o. And this is going to surprise, terrify, and upset possibly some people in the audience. And some other people will be pleasantly surprised about what I've uncovered about Johnny Carson, a real enigma in American show business. And next week on this Bat Channel, we will get into, it'd probably be two parts, maybe three, on Johnny Carson. Pamela thanking me for the birthdays today. And thank you, Pamela, for looking shit up that I don't have the time to when I'm doing a live show. So I appreciate Pamela. She's going to be the unofficial manager of the chat for anybody who's in there. Probably very interesting, she says. Can't wait. Probably very interesting, but it may not be very interesting. It's probably. Thank you, Guy, Karnak, says Scott, like and subscribe on a Wednesday. Yeah, may not be Wednesday in Norway, but it's Wednesday, the south side of Boston, for Prince Spaghetti Day. So, okay, see you guys Friday on the other show on America's Untold Stories, and then we'll be back here on Wednesday for Celebrity Crime and Rehab at 1 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, and then we'll be back here 6 o'clock Eastern and 3 o'clock Pacific for the Johnny Carson episode part 1. Like and subscribe, and have a great week.